Today is time to give you a major update on the Elliott wave count that we shared with you a while ago on Bitcoin, and I believe that this will help clear up a lot of things in the charts. But first of all, as usual, before we dive into the Elliott wave count, I just want to recap what happened since our last update, where if you remember what we said was that we had one major support area between 94.1 and 94.6, and if we lost that support area, it would be a massive sign of weakness, and we did expect a break of $90,000. So with that said, what happened? Well, if you go to the charts and just outline our support area, which was this 15-minute imbalance, so 94.1 and then 94.6, price moved into our support area, and it did actually offer a good fight. As you can see, we had a drop, a first reaction, a second drop, we finalized the 15-minute imbalance, we had another bounce, a small break in market structure, and at this point, of course, the bounce was starting to look very nice, but unfortunately in the end, price just decided to reverse lower, break back below this low, and at this point it was starting to look very bad for Bitcoin, and we got the break of $90,000 as expected. So what did we do inside the Discord? Well, it's pretty straightforward. When I saw the move down and the first reaction, I did decide to initiate a long position. I knew that I could be a bit early, but this was my only support. And then what happened? We had a second hourly imbalance, and that's where I really wanted to see price start to reverse higher, or again, we expected much lower prices. We got a very nice bounce, as you can see, but as you know, price decided to reverse lower, and I got stopped out of my long position. So with that said, back to the charts, what can you expect next? Well, overall, I would say that at this point, it makes sense to expect lower prices, of course. Why? Well, because what I've been talking about for a while, we have a yearly pivot at $83,500. And on top of that, we have a daily imbalance that I would like to see filled, 80,500, which is also a weekly imbalance, as you can see right there. So for these reasons at this point, of course, it just makes sense to expect lower prices. If we get a sign of strength, of course, then we can flip our bias and start to look for long positions. And well, what actually happened on this job? We finally hit our quarterly pivot that I've been talking about for such a long time, $88,500. We jumped into it, it's finally tapped. So at least now, if we do get a reversal from here, the quarterly pivot has been tapped. But at this point, again, I just expect our prices, and my major target would be $80,500. However, what does Bitcoin have to do here in order to show us a sign of strength? Well, if we go on the 4-hour, of course, it would be the recovery of this 4-hour imbalance, which also comes around the daily open. So if we do get a move up, we fill this 4-hour imbalance and we get a retest of the daily open, for example, then at this point we could look for long positions for a move higher in the charts. But until this happens, we just have to expect our prices. We have a lot of weakness on the charts, and as I've been saying, we have a pretty big daily and weekly imbalance to recover. So with all of this in mind, let's now move on to the Elliott wave count. So the last time we updated you on this count, if you remember, we had one major target at $114,000, which we did want to short if we saw a reaction. Why? Well, because we knew that this impulse was coming to an end. If I remind you, what we said was that we had a 1, 2, all of this was a wave 3, we had a wave 4, and we knew that this was our wave 5, which is why again we wanted to short $114,000. Unfortunately, we did not get it, but today with this drop to the downside, we can say that this impulse is over. And if some of you are wondering how all of this is part of a wave 3, well, I will remind you again, what we said was that this was an extended wave. We have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, and 5. And all of this is part of an extended wave 3. And this is how we came up with this impulse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we were aware of a potential big drop that could come. But with today's price action, what counts we have on the charts? We have two counts in my opinion. The first one, which is much more bearish, would be that as you can see, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means that this is the start of a much bigger wave 2, which will correct all of this wave 1 that started at $15,000. So this wave 2 will correct the move from $15,000 all the way up to $110,000, which of course means that the bull market would be over. At this point, discount is not my preferred one. However, I actually don't find it to be very unlikely, simply because you had so much going on at the highs. We even had two president launch meme coins. So it would kind of make sense if the bull market is over and we are in for a much bigger correction to the downside. But with that said, what is the second count that is a bit less bullish? Well, that would be that instead of having a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what we have is a 1, 2 into another 1, 2, and that would mean that this is simply another 1, 2, which would mean that price could bottom, for example, as we said, around $80,000. So if we mark this level, this would give you this wave 2, again, wave 2, and then you move up in a much bigger wave 3. So at this point, this scenario, I do like it a bit more, but I am aware of the fact that if Bitcoin does lose $80,500, which would be a big level for me, then it would make more sense to expect a bigger wave 2 and a correction of this entire wave 1, wave 2, but then of course Bitcoin will bounce much higher in a very big wave 3. So with all of that said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this update. As usual, we keep it very simple. So quick recap. At this point, I don't believe that this drop is over, except if Bitcoin starts to show signs of strength. So for example, if we get a reclaim of the daily open, then this could offer a nice long position a bit higher. But for now, I would expect lower prices. We have a yearly pivot, we have a daily imbalance, we have weekly imbalance. And if we do lose this level, this would be a pretty big sign of weakness. However, if we do get the bounce, you know that this could be a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 for a move higher in the charts. However, if we lose this level again, just be aware of the fact that this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that crypto could be ready for a bear market. So as usual, if you guys enjoyed this update, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.